Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready?
Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Beautiful day here in Maine. Nice blue sky, a little bit of a breeze, sunny, probably in the mid to upper 80s. But I guess they're saying there's some rain on the way, maybe a thunder shower. So, but it's coming. The last video, I know I probably was really emotional and stuff, and I was really pissed off. I still am, but you know, I needed a little break from that, do something just to clear my head, because you know, the more I talked about it, the worse I was getting. So you know, I spoke to a friend, and I think in an off-the-wall way, he kind of told me what really I needed to do at this point now, seeing how it seems inevitable that Trump is probably going to win now, is that since that's going to be the result of the election, I think it's really important for me now to explain to people what they're going to get after he's sworn in, and that brings us to the Project 2025 thing. So the best thing that I can do as, you know, a conveyor of information is, you know, not to let people get so blindsided by what comes down the pike here, because if you're not ready for it, then yeah, it's going to be a shock. So I want people to be prepared for what they're going to get, you know, from the Trump administration there. So that's why I'm going to be talking about that here probably for a time, because I think there's a lot of people out there that really don't know what's in it. They won't take the time to read it. I mean, it's rated on, if you go to the Heritage Foundation website, the Project 2025 agenda is right there. It's listed, everything broken down. It's in every page of it. There's like 190 pages of it, all right there for people to read. And it's funny that that the right wing is all upset that it's out there. It's like, well, why are you upset? If this is what you want, why aren't you proud to show people what's going to be in this Project 2025 when Trump's elected, you know? But all of a sudden, everybody's so pissed off at the Heritage Foundation for having posted it all up on their website. It's like, you know, what are you trying to hide, right? So I'm going to say, look, let's open it up for everybody to hear, okay? So I'm going to break it down through this video and maybe a few others here, so that way by the time election rolls around and Trump wins, we'll know what we're going to get in January 20th or whatever. All right, so you know, the like I said, this idea, this plan, this mandate of what they want to do, it was hatched from the Heritage Foundation. I mean, it's something that they've probably been sitting on even when Obama was president. You know, things they've been writing out, you know, ideas and stuff. So, and I think after Trump had his first term and it didn't go the way they wanted, I think they went back to this list of things they want to do, and they revised it so that way in the 4 years that Trump gets as president, they can hit the ground running and implement a whole plethora of things. Okay. For one thing, that this Project 2025 mandate here is asserting that the entire executive branch basically should be under the direct control of the president, as it's laid out in Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution and unitary executive theory. It wants to reclassify tens of thousands of federal civil service workers as political appointees in order to replace them with loyalists more willing to enable the next president's policies. That would take away or dismantle what they view as, as unaccountable and liberal government bureaucracy. They hate that. So it wants to infuse the government and society with Christian values, of course, and to steer the United States toward an autocracy, which they won't say. You won't hear Trump say that, or anybody on the right wing say autocracy. But that's kind of where, after you've read their manifesto of next year, that's where it's going to lead us to. Okay, I mean, we're almost kind of like that now in a way, but I'm just saying they really want to pave that road towards it, more or less. Okay, they want us to go down that road further and easier. So the separation of church and state will be pretty much a fairy tale after that, because they'll combine like I said, they were talking about having Christian values, so they want to inject that in with the government, so you can forget about the separation. There's going to be some economic and social policies that will be changed, which we've already kind of seen right now thanks to the Supreme Court. So you can take what they've done as an example and proof that it's in the manifesto, that it's in there, that they plan on expanding on that after Trump's in there as president. So on that part, you don't really need to read the Project 2025 plan, because we already know that's where the right wing is leading us to, simply because of the Supreme Court justices, the conservative ones anyway, steering our nation down this path. Okay. And they want to take control of the FBI, the FCC, the FTC, DHS, Department of Homeland Security, and they want to reduce environmental and climate change regulations to favor the oil industry, to give them more breathing room so they can continue to do their work and digging up oil and keeping the oil industry in motion to power our lives. So in other words, they want us to step back from the concerns that we have about the future of the world and the climate changes, which we're already experiencing right now. I mean, they're already talking about record-breaking heat waves already, higher than last year, storms, terrible storms. I mean, they're just, it ain't just the United States, it's all over the fucking world, okay? So, we can deny it here in this country, but the rest of the world has already accepted it, and they're already trying to take steps to, to try to combat this, or, try to make things easier, okay? But United States, who has tried to champion the lead here on this, is going to just simply drop out of the race, okay? We're not, the Trump administration will not take up that flag and will not continue us down the path of a better climate society. It's going to be all different again. Well, not different, but it's going to be all the same all over again. which kind of polluted all our air and everything. And so he's going to take us down that for the sake of the oil industry. Okay. They want to institute more tax cuts. And people are saying, well, Jesus Christ, I mean, tax cuts, how's that going to affect the government itself? Well, they're already talking about cutting federal jobs in this this mandate, okay? One of the first things, I think here, let me get a good beat on this here, because, it kind of really lays out in some detail what they want to do with federal workers. First of all, they want to cut their wages. In other words, they did some studies on what an average worker who isn't a federal worker is getting for pay outside of the government. And they figure, why should the government pay them more if, the same kind of individual would work for less pay in the private sector? And so what they want to do is they want to cut that. They want to cut these people's wages down to, like, what you get working at McDonald's or something. I don't know. Okay, but they want to do that, and they have this organization called the Office of Personnel Management that came out and contributed to this thing on what would be a better wage, and people who used to get high ratings all the time for their job performance in the government, which is something that all government workers do or have to go through. The ratings are always been, as in the high areas, so good performance. The government says enough of that. Let's reevaluate all these people, and and essentially let's give them lower numbers so that way we can let them go. Even though their job performance may be as good as it was under Biden, when Trump gets in there, these people are going to have them reevaluated once again. And I think what's going to happen is they're going to pick and choose which workers they want to keep and which ones they want to let go, despite how good they performed in their last performance rating. So they're going to set a new stage here of less workers, less pay, okay, and they're going to cut benefits equal to what one would get working for a private outfit. So in other words, the benefits that you used to get being a government worker are going to change over to what you get working for some company that doesn't want to give their workers benefits, but is forced to. Like I said, that's what people that are federal employees can expect to get. Let me see here. They want to reform the retirement benefits. Let me read some of this here. It said that career civil servants enjoy retirement benefits that are nearly unheard of in the private sector. Federal employees retire earlier, normally at age 55, after 30 years, enjoy richer pension annuities, and receive automatic cost of living adjustment based on the areas in which they retire. Defined benefit federal pensions are fully indexed for inflation, a practice that is extremely rare in the private sector. A federal employee with a pre-retirement income of $25,000 under the older of the two federal retirement plans will receive at least $200,000 more over a 20-year period than will private sector workers with the same retirement salary under historic inflation levels. Okay, so you see what they're doing there? They're making comparisons, which means they're looking to justify cutting people's retirements now that work for the government. All right, so that's something they're going to implement when Trump is president. Okay. And then they go back to the Reagan years to draw an example from on how they saved billions of dollars when they were reducing these benefits in the past, okay? And from what I remember about that time, I know a lot of people didn't like that, okay? You know, it used to be said, if you got a government job, you're sitting good, you know, it's a good job. And they just didn't take anybody to work there, right? You got to be smart. But now, intelligence don't mean count for shit now, right? I mean, first you got to be a loyalist to Trump. Then you have to basically accept the fact that what you're getting for money is barely going to cover your cost of living. And if you work there for 30 years, your retirement is going to be really anti-climatic, I guess. It's not really, you know, you're still going to be struggling just to live in retirement, but you know, that's what this Project 2025 so far is kind of outlining here for that part. And you know, I can't think, you know, especially when it comes with Department of Homeland Security, which involves our country's security. Why would you want to, you know, make them take less money or something? I mean, you know, I argued way back about the creation of that department as being, you know, unnecessary, okay? Because we already had an infrastructure in place to protect our country. Problem was, the people who knew what was going to happen before 9/11, okay, tried to educate the president at the time what was going to happen, and nobody took it serious. So the problem wasn't the fact that we didn't have enough protection, it was the fact that the executive branch did not move on the information as it was disseminated to them, okay? But the government decided, or at least the administration, the Bush administration, decided to penalize that system that they didn't listen to by creating a whole other department, okay? And the Republicans from that day on have been touting around that, oh, we care about our national security and yada yada, which leads to this issue about Trump stealing documents out of you know, basically putting it in jeopardy. Okay, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, there's been a sequence of mishaps since then with that. But now that it's there and people seem to think that we need it, now Trump wants to go in there and kind of diminish it, you know. And like I said, it just seems ironic in a way that something that was, you know, we must have this, now Trump's like saying, well, we don't need it, okay, or we don't need as much of it, okay. So, you know, people, you know, if anything happens in this country terrorist-wise, people will be able to draw the parallel or the line of blame right to this Project 2025 here. Let's see. They want to get rid of the Department of Education, who they think the programs that it encompasses would be better served if they moved it to other agencies or just simply terminated. And I guess that goes to the idea, you know, of, you know, like DeSantis down in Florida wanting to ban books and stuff like that. It's the hatred of the whole public system, really, that put that on their agenda. Okay, they hated because the public school system educates our students to know American history, civics, and to read stuff that other people say, oh, you shouldn't read that, you know. And then, you know, they attack the teachers for indoctrinating our students and stuff. So they're going to come down hard on the public education sector here in this thing. And I can't see how, you know, the teachers can take any more shit like that from local or the federal government. We want to say our teachers are a valuable resource, that, you know, but they're one of the most underappreciated workers in our society, and they have a key role in educating our youth. And now they're being criticized for doing just that. And so this incoming administration here is going to hit them with another blow. And I just, you know, like I said, it's very unfortunate, but that's what they recommend. They just want to get rid of that whole department altogether. And I think another reason for that is no more tax money into that, so they can give that tax money back to the rich, right? Okay, even though everybody's been paying into it, all that money that's in it is going to go to the rich instead of back to everybody else who paid for it, right? So anyway, yeah, just to you know, show you a little bit of craziness there at that. All right. The National Institute of Health would be reformed. They want to cut funding for Medicare and Medicaid, and they want the government to explicitly reject abortion as health care. That's the big one right there that people are always bringing up when it comes to this conversation about Project 2025, is that there would be a national abortion ban. And don't expect the Supreme Court to go and say anything against that, because, hey, they already said it was okay to ban it. Okay, so when they get in there, guess what's going to happen? Probably the first month or two in office, Trump will sign a goddamn bill that'll say abortions will be banned across the country. And I don't know what that's going to mean for the governors. I suppose they'd have to comply, right? But you know, anybody that does an abortion now, the doctor would be charged. The woman getting the abortion would be charged, and with capital offenses, which would throw them in jail. Okay, they're already bitching our prisons are full. Well, imagine what's going to happen when you've got a sea of women being thrown in prison along with the men. Okay, and the children out there that are killing each other. But how does that improve society by banning people from doing something? Okay, remember when we tried to ban alcohol? How did that work? You can't ban anything in this world. They tried to come down on pornography in America, to ban that. No, not going to work. There's just too much of a black market underground apparatus in play in order for that to survive regardless. Okay, so a ban would be symbolic at best with things like that. To ban abortion in this country would reduce people to taking matters into their own hands. And you're going to see a terrible rise in death rates among pregnant women, those who can't get an abortion. You'll see a black market of people getting medications or something like that, or even just doctors working in secret. I mean, you're going to create a criminal entity it's not a crime, but because they label a ban, it makes it a crime, right? So they're going to create this underground criminal entity in this country that's going to double the workload on the law enforcement, because now they're going to be out, looking for people doing abortions. You're going to have a police force out there, questioning every woman they see, or just, what I'm saying? I mean, it's going to be like living in a police state for women, because they won't be able to feel safe about even getting pregnant, or even having sex for that matter, because Christ, the government's got their hands in my fucking womb. And on top of that, they want to do pregnancy monitoring somehow, which is something that I recently heard, that, in some way they want to use the internet and have women put down information about, what they're doing or something like that, so they can track women who are pregnant to make sure that they're not trying to get an abortion or something like that, and that whatever happens, they got a record of what led up to it. If they did lose the baby or something, so that way they can identify whether it was an abortion or not an abortion. You know what I'm saying? They really want to get involved in women's personal life here with this Project 2025 here. So that's going to be something that they will go after when Trump's elected president. And they want to eliminate, the coverage of, emergency conception under the Affordable Care Act and enforce the Comstock Act to prosecute those who send and receive contraceptives and abortion pills nationwide. Like what I said, you know, they're going to monitor women that closely now under this thing when that's enacted. Okay, so women are going to become the enemy. You know, as if it wasn't bad enough to be a woman in this country. Now, the God-given right to live like a human being is going to be stripped from them, all because of abortion. All because, you know, a woman feels like, you know, I have a right to my own health, to take care of myself. Okay, and this perception that runs through the Republican Party that women that get pregnant and then have an abortion 9 months later, I mean, that's a fucking lie. That never happened. Okay, but they're pushing that around as fact, and they believe that. They think women are just out there screwing right and left, getting pregnant and getting rid of the babies like it's a big fucking game. Okay, no woman that's ever been pregnant or has to, you know, or has an abortion thinks it's a picnic or thinks it's fun and games. Okay, wherever they think that or why they think that, I don't know. Maybe their own beleaguered lives have made them think this way because they demonize women who can have babies, you know, and it created this fucking animosity towards women who have abortions when some woman could never get pregnant because whatever problem she has. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I think, you know, it kind of sparked from that. I really do think that's what it's just, you know, people who are not as fortunate as other women to be able to have babies, getting mad at women who do have babies or have abortions because they, for whatever reason, they can't have the child. Okay, and you know how I feel about abortions personally is really not anyone's business. Okay, I'm not going to stand in the way of any woman who wants to do what she thinks is right for her own personal health, because that at the end of the day is important too. All right, we're not supposed to be martyrs you know, for a cause when it comes to your health. Like, I'm not going to contract cancer so I'll die with it, you know. Fuck that, you know. You know, but hey, this is the way the right wing thinks. You know, that's how they think. The problem is with the right wing, and this is where their hypocrisy comes, is when that baby is born, they're nowhere to be found. If that baby is born in an unfortunate circumstance and in poverty, they're not there. They're not going to help that baby at all. You know, nope. They just don't want nothing to do with it. It's only the fetus they care about. After that baby's born, it's dirt under their heels. Let's go to commercial break. We'll be right back.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
I'm proud to be promoting the God Bless the USA Bible. It's my favorite book.
I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody.
Donald Trump found guilty all 34 counts of falsifying business records.
Donald Trump's hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels.
She'd had an affair with Trump.
I am the chosen one.
The Trump Organization frauded the state of New York.
$354 million.
I'm very greedy. We must make America pray again.
How stupid are the people of the country to believe this crap?
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, so one of the other things, and I think I already might have said it, was they want to criminalize pornography. And they want to remove any and all legal protections against discrimination based on sexual orientation and gender identity, and terminating diversity, equality, or equity rather, and inclusion, all these DEI programs. And they want to get rid of affirmative action by having the DOJ prosecute anti-white racism. Jeez, I mean, you know, that's when I just by saying, you know, what's written there, I feel like, God damn. I mean, they're coming down hard on everybody. You know, anything that they can't stand, boy, they're just coming down hard on. And you know, I feel bad for people out there who are struggling already inside their own families when it's concerned sexual orientation, because it ain't no easy thing. Not every family is going to be open-minded about that. But then to find out that the world you're living in is going to be green-lit, authorized, allowed to persecute you, okay, and they might be able to charge you or something and arrest you if they so choose to do that, you know, to go down that road. Because once you open that door just a crack, it's so much easier just to keep pushing that thing all the way open. And you know, where does the line drawn in the sand when it comes to intolerance? You know, I mean, they already want to round up illegals and stuff, which I'll be getting to here in a minute. But you know, when they come down like that on women and LGBTQ populations here, you know, how does this improve the country? That's my question to these maggots. How does this improve it? You know, what it is I'll tell you where this comes from. These people that are attacking the women and stuff like that, and LGBTQ, especially for that group of our community, they can't understand it. It embarrasses them when they see, you know, people in their community that are gay or whatnot, okay? That embarrasses them, and they can't explain it to themselves why it exists. And so, because they're mentally challenged in trying to understand it, they hate it. They build a hatred about it because they're confronted by something they don't understand, and they just hate it that they can't understand it. And that comes from a lack of education about the topic, okay? That comes from them denying themselves you know, the opportunity to listen to these people, to understand where they're coming from, to figure out, or at least try to rationalize in some way in your mind that, hey, you know, this is just another example of why everybody is different. You know, why everybody's got different fingerprints, different thoughts, beliefs, likes, dislikes. You know, we also have differences in our appearances, you know, different colored hair, eyes, you know what I'm saying, okay? Diversity. They can accept diversity to a point, okay? But they can't accept all of it. And because they can't, they hate the rest that they can't accept, all right? To them, it shouldn't exist. It should be gone. We can't accept that. And so when these people get into political power and stuff, it should be expected that they're going to want to do away with what they can't understand, what they can't tolerate, and that's what this is about. This is their chance to get in there when Trump is president. This is their chance to get in there and really hack at this, you know, and make life a living hell for these people, because now they're really going to be forced to go back into the closet. And you know, they've spent so much time trying to break out of it and to find acceptance that once again our nation will be taking a huge step backwards for these people. And I feel like, you know, if I, like, at the beginning of this video I was talking about why, you know, I'm trying to come back here to educate people, is I want you all to understand what you're going to see when Trump is president again. This is what you're going to see. Now, it's too bad we don't have a time machine because we can make the mistake, go back in time and fix it, right? Like Back to the Future. But we can't do that. So we have to look ahead. We have to look at the possibilities that are before us and pick the possibility that we can live with. This is a possibility I don't want to live with. I don't want to live with Project 2025 next year, okay? I don't want this to happen. And because we don't have a time machine, we can't go back in time and undo this, okay? We can't do it. So if we walk down this path, you know, at a race, we're going to end up tripping on ourselves into a problem that, you know, we're gonna spend a long time trying to get out of, okay? And it's gonna be a very bad reality. You think things are bad now, you ain't seen nothing yet, okay? But this is what the Project 2025 is going to bring to the table for all of us Americans, even for those of us who think we are not going to be under the spotlight of a new government. You're wrong. Okay, this very video I'm making right now under Project 2025 will be easily plucked out of its slot here on YouTube and used to whatever purposes they want to use it to shut me up because of the shit I say about Trump. He'll be able to do that because they'll consider that as an official act of the presidency. Thanks to the Supreme Court, they will back that and defend it. Okay, because they basically put up for reinterpretation what is and what isn't an official act. And a good lawyer will be able to always argue for the president that it was an official act. You see what I'm saying? So how are we going to be able to fight back against injustice in this country if our president is going to be allowed to act like a dictator because it's his official duties to be one? Okay? You see how murky the waters will get? And why it was so important for the Supreme Court not to be leaning one way or the other. Okay? You see what happens when you have an activist court? Because when they're like this, the rule of law becomes obsolete and a new law is replaced. We have a new authority, basically. And the Supreme Court's purpose from here on out is going to be to protect the president. That's why they're there now. That's why they're already doing things now. They're ready for Trump to be president again, and when he's in there, they're going to spend their time defending him. It's not going to matter what the other three justices think or not think. All they can do is issue their, opinion about the matter, but that's as far as they can go. Because really, they're helpless now. I mean, they might as well hang up their robes and just go home because they really are never going to be listened to by anybody. So, as far as the presidency goes, the Supreme Court will be at his beck and call anytime he needs them, and no matter what he does, no matter what thing he creates a mess of, they will be there to wash his hands and his face. It's very, 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 haunting. The project here is also talking about the arrest, detention, and deportation of undocumented immigrants living in the U.S. by using our military to capture and place them in internment camps. And it says internment camps. Okay? People are saying, oh, no, it's not going to be like the Holocaust. That's what they used to call them during the Nazis, as internment camps when it first started. Okay? They put them in there, but then they converted those internment camps into, places to kill all the Jewish people, okay? That's what they did with them. At first, they were just, places to put, political adversaries and stuff like that. Then they decided, well, let's put all the Jewish people in there, and then we'll just cook them. That's how that started. And here in Project 2025, their idea is to create internment camps to put all the illegals in there. Now, let me tell you something. If you begin down this path, you know where it's going to lead. Repeating history is an art form for humanity. We never learn from history. So if this is being written in there, in that description as internment camps, that means they're going to make them into places to get rid of people they don't want. So that's going to include maybe some of the LGBTQ. They'll just be tossed in there to be, eradicated at leisure. Okay? Whatever they can't stand. They can't stand illegal immigrants in this country. Well, they can't stand them. They can't stand the gay community. They can't stand the trans community. They can't stand the liberal community, the Democrats, okay? They can't stand, the veterans. For 1 minute they love the veterans, the next minute they don't. When they don't, guess what? Some of the veterans are going to get thrown in there. You know what I'm saying? Where does the line get drawn? And then before you know it, people say, well, anyone who isn't white and blonde hair with blue eyes will be thrown in there next. Okay, depending on how long this thing goes on, it could get just that way, really fast. All right. The project, you know, proposes deploying the military for domestic law enforcement. Okay, posse comitatus, remember that? Military should not be used against its people. Well, guess what? They're gonna erase that out of there now. They're gonna take that out, and the military is going to be patrolling up and down your streets looking for illegal immigrants. They will storm homes, suspected homes that might be harboring them. You know, expect these squads to go in there, remove people, and if you try to resist, you will be shot. Okay? It will promote capital punishment and a speedy finality of those sentences, you know, for people who are, you know, protecting them. Okay, so in other words, you know, we could be looking at, you know, what is that Judge Dredd? Remember that? Okay, he's the law, he's the judge, the execution. Okay, basically that's kind of what they want our military to turn into, is a bunch of street judges out there executing people at will because they broke the law. I am the law. Okay, so we're gonna have a whole bunch of Judge Dredds out there under this fucking plan. Because look, people already are pissed off at the police as it is right now for them doing what they do, summary executions and whatever, and beating people to a pulp. Imagine that on a bigger scale when you got the military involved. You think you people at home that have guns up the ass and all that, you really think you're going to stand up against that? You might shoot one, maybe two of these people, but the other 40 that go into your house with the tank waiting outside, you better put the gun to yourself and pull the trigger, because what'll happen to you after you're captured is probably going to be a nightmare that you're not going to want to experience. Okay, so you would be best to save that weapon that you have and keeping one round in it for yourself, because you won't win the fight to prevent them from catching you, but you can prevent them from interrogating you to death. You know, that's what'll happen. And you know, these are people that, you know, white supremacists, they're going to be welcome into this government because, hey, they will be known, they will pledge your loyalty to Trump and do exactly what Trump wants to do with glee. When you got people that'll do shit like that with glee, you're in trouble. Now, people that have said here that Project 2025, as it's outlined, does not promote, okay, a president or a person who would be president. Okay, by law they can't. But here's the catch: this whole fucking thing was written by people that support Donald Trump. Okay, so they don't have to put his name in there. And the word conservative comes up so many times in this 190 pages of this thing. Okay, that, well, let's see. Trump, they support Trump. It's written by conservatives, because that's what the Heritage Foundation is, a conservative think tank. It wasn't written for the Democrats to implement. It was only written for the right wing to implement. So who's on the Republican ticket that's running for the presidency? Donald Trump. So do we really need to hear that they support Donald Trump in this thing? No. Of course they expect him to deliver the goods here. That's what it's for. He'll be handed this fucking agenda, which he probably already read. But he'll be given this agenda saying, you know, do these things for us. You know, and I'm sure he'll say, fine, just make sure I stay the fuck out of prison. You know, and that's basically all it takes for a crooked president to destroy a country. You let the rabble of the extremists out there do their thing while they protect you from prosecution, from anything that comes up. And you know, there's a lot still to come on Trump that hasn't come out yet. There's a little bit of it already starting to come out now. The ties between him and Jeffrey Epstein are starting to make their way public now. They're revisiting that because new information has come out that the FBI has released and shown that from phone calls and stuff that he made, things that were said, his name comes up a lot, Trump, with him and Epstein. So, like I said, it's going to be too late when he's president to be able to, do something to, undo this. Because once given the presidential ability to simply, pardon himself and stop all investigations against him, there's really not going to be any justice there. If any proof comes out that he was involved in any way at all with pedophilia, sex trafficking, or anything like that under the radar, okay, which brings us back to Ghislaine Maxwell. Is his name something that she's protecting? That's why she's staying in prison or something? You know what I'm saying? I got a feeling that there's a lot of big names other than Trump involved in that thing. Alan Dershowitz is another. Yeah, he spent a few times over at goddamn Epstein's house, okay? But the thing is that there's a lot there that hasn't even come out yet, even though it's been, how many years now since Epstein offed himself? I don't know. It's been a while. But Ghislaine is sitting in prison. She ain't talking, okay? But she knows names. And the fact that she's not talking and the names she knows she's not uttering tells me that these are some big fucking wigs here. One of them could be Donald Trump himself. The fact that the two of them were photographed together many, many times. And the fact that he called Epstein a lot of times, it doesn't look good. It's just like, what's that guy that royalty there, I can't remember his name, Prince somebody or Duke, whatever. It's hard to keep track of these fucking names. But he's another one, okay? And basically, they managed to shut down anything else about that because his name kept coming up in that too. All right? So you got some very powerful people all linked to Jeffrey Epstein here. And since Epstein is dead, they can't answer for these crimes. The rest of the people now are being put under the spotlight to find out their extent. And Trump's name, because it's come up a lot, he's a person of interest. Okay? But just keep that in mind when we talk about the election and whether or not President Biden is fit to be president, as opposed to whether or not Donald Trump is legally supposed to be president, because in a perfect world, he would have been forced out of the race simply because he's a convicted felon. Okay? There is a law in that there, but for some reason, the justice system ain't doing its job because, hey, Christ, he put half of them damn judges there. They're not going to do anything to him, so he gets away with it. He's a person who, by running for president, is already breaking the law. Just by running for president, he's breaking the law as it's written. Okay, so for people like George Clooney, Rob Reiner, Stephen King, Nancy Pelosi, all these people out there, these big donors here for the Democrat Party that are out there asking for Biden to step down, are you really going to risk putting that kind of a man back in the White House, knowing what you know about him? You guys have come out for months and said how much of a slimeball he is and everything, but you're going to ask Joe Biden, who's done a stellar job for the last 4 years, okay, and has, a really nice VP at his side, and you guys want to see her run again, be at the top of the ticket. What's the difference? If Biden is president gets reelected president and he decides he wants to resign, guess who gets to step into his shoes? It works both ways in this situation. You don't need to sweat bullets about getting rid of Biden, okay? Because with Biden comes an experienced staff, and it comes with a great vice president. So they're ready to pick up the ball if he drops it. If Biden, God forbid, should just drop dead one day and halfway through the 4 years, well, we got a system in place to fix that. And Kamala Harris would be the new president. The first black female president in American history. Jesus. Think about that for a minute before you open your mouth and say, oh, let's get rid of Biden. No. Let's not. He's supposed to give an interview, a press conference here, what, in about 15 minutes? Okay, and everyone's going to make their decision on whether we should keep him in the race or not. Like, you know what that is? That's folly. Okay, the people that like Clooney and the ones I just named that already said for him to drop out, a 30-minute interview with the press is not going to change their mind. Okay, they sounded very adamant about the fact that Biden isn't any good. He shouldn't be running. Okay, so it's not going to change anybody's minds, no matter how good he sounds at this thing. That's why I'm not even going to watch it, because I already know what the answer is going to be tomorrow when I see it on the news. Okay, and all I can say is they're being extremely short-sighted here. They're not looking at the long-term plan of what could happen. Just by withdrawing their support for this man is enough to give Trump the extra momentum that he needs to slip right back into the White House and do all these things here I'm talking about. Okay, that's what's at stake here. That's why me and people like me are telling the press and the New York Times, okay, do your job. Stop being an activist for Trump. Do your fucking job, because you're going to be looked at. Should that man become president and this country falls on some severe hard times, you're going to be looked at. Okay? And believe me, the government is not going to treat you any kinder because you were standing with the devil when he needed you. Okay? That's not going to happen. Hitler didn't allow any press to be run that didn't kiss his ass every time they printed something. Okay? And unless you're prepared to do the same thing for Trump, that's what's going to happen to you. But the thing is that unity is what people will see as a party that's strong. That because Trump is so flawed, such a criminal, the party will still stand behind him. That gives that party strength. It doesn't matter that the guy they're standing for is a fucking jackass, okay? But the fact that they're unified behind him shows that they're willing to go the distance. Biden, he's not always at the top of his game, but he's got good ideas, and he has a good track record of implementing them. Okay, our party can't unify behind him. Which is worse, the guy that's 81 years old, who didn't do well in a debate, or a guy who's got 34 felony convictions and a rape conviction, and is still under investigation for national security issues that he broke, and God knows what else is still to come down the pipe. Geez, that's a tough choice. The people that say, some people say, I will still vote for Biden even if he's on a respirator and an iron lung or something like that. Okay, they understand what's at stake here. They understand what's at stake. And voting for the other side simply because a guy couldn't perform in a debate is the most ridiculous reason not to support somebody that there is. Okay? It's like, let's put it in a different perspective. Jeffrey Dahmer on one hand, Gandhi on the other. Who should be president? You see what I'm getting at? This is how I see it. Right? I'm not trying to say that, Biden is some kind of prophet, but I'm just saying that's the kind of choice we're looking at. And I think people really ought to just slow down and come back to planet Earth here before they start deciding about not voting because, it's going to be Biden. Don't. Even if you don't vote, you're still voting for Trump. By not voting, you're giving Trump your vote, because that's one less vote to oppose him, one more vote to get him back in there. You see what I'm saying? So if you don't vote, you're voting for Trump. So when Trump wins, I don't want to hear from you people that didn't vote. Okay? You, at this very moment in history, had the choice to stand for what's right, and you decided not to be part of it, part of history, part of the protection of this country. Some of you may have taken oaths because you were in the military. Some of you, gave your oath to defend this country against enemies, foreign and domestic. If you don't vote, you're violating that oath. If that oath means anything to you, like putting your hand on the good book and swearing you're going to tell the truth, if that oath means as much to you as that, then you know what you have to do. You know what you have to do. This is your moment, okay? To pick up that uniform one more time and do the right thing. Okay? It's not a time to go watch wrestling or whatever the fuck it is you do, you know, and just forget about the day. Let it come and go. No. This is very important. And I hope people really are with me here on this and understand my train of thought. Because as I've been reading this stuff, and there's still much, 190 pages. I've only, a few paragraphs here so far. 190 fucking pages of what they want to do to this country. And the more of it you read, okay, the more frightening it becomes, because they are basically wanting to turn this country inside out. Basically take the Constitution as we know it, burn what's left of it, bring in another piece of paper with Project 2025 on the header, and put that in the Smithsonian, okay, or wherever they keep the Constitution. They want to put that in the museum as, you know, the new America, which is a fucking story of a nightmare. Basically is what they're creating, as a goddamn nightmare. Stephen King, you know, the writer of horror novels and stuff, asking Joe Biden to step down. You're going to create, or you're going to contribute to the creation of a nightmare that would make all of your stories seem like child's play. If you pursue this, you know, or pursue him that way, okay? This is not the time to play horror fiction here, okay? You need to really think about that. What kind of country do you want to leave the future generations? You want to give them an America we grew up in, or do you want them to live under an authoritarian dictatorship? Okay, and be oppressed, be denied their freedoms. And you know, it'll continue even after this. Once you start down the road, it becomes easier to take away more things as time goes on. It won't just stop with the 190 pages of stuff they got listed here. There'll be more. They're already laying the groundwork to make it easier to get rid of more things, to get rid of more government agencies, to give more wealth to the rich. Okay, they're doing this stuff. They want to pull this whole fucking country out of the 21st century and reel us all the way back to the beginning, where we're living under fear, under oppression, religious oppression, where, you know, things were so uncertain, where people were, you know, they couldn't depend on anything to protect them. They had to do it all for themselves. You know, when I talk about some of these agencies that they want to do away with, one of them is the FDA. Okay, they don't want the FDA around. But imagine what this country would be like without the FDA. There are countries in the world that don't have an FDA thing like what we have. And their people, you know, it's very, the water's not clean, the food is not edible, okay, there's pollution, there's, you know, Jesus, I mean, anything you can think of that the FDA protects us from, these people are victims of in these other countries, okay, because they don't have the wealth to be able to create a program to protect its citizens, okay? They don't have it. And so these people are left on their own. So mortality rates are very high in these countries. Okay, so imagine, you know, our life expectancy in the United States drops down to like, what, 60, if you're lucky, because they removed the FDA from the government. There's nobody there to make sure that the shit you buy in the grocery stores is even edible. If it's expired, they'll never tell you. There's no rules to say that they have to. Okay, you'll buy a carton of milk, and it's going to smell like ass when you open it. Okay, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be like that. People are going to, you know, and if the corporations think this is going to help them in the end, they're wrong. Because when people find out that the stuff you're selling is killing them, they ain't gonna buy nothing from you ever again. So what happens to all these companies out there that think that they can make more money by, you know, pulling stunts like that at people? Okay, they won't be around long. You know, it's our protection that we have these things around to guide us. Just like we're trying to have protection, or to protect the environment, if you will, a selfless act, us protecting our environment. Okay, it benefits us in our return, but we're willing to give, you know, of ourselves in some way to protect the environment, and there's no appreciation for that from the other side. They don't like that because it costs money. It costs them money, you know. And instead, you know, and I go, you know, you would think that a good business person would see this as an opportunity to make money. Just like when they first found oil, the very first oil well that found oil and they found out what they could do with it, they jumped on that like fucking shit on, like flies on shit. Okay, they made all kinds of money. Why is it they ain't doing that this time? You know, yeah, I know that the oil industry is dominant. Okay, sure, but we all know it's finite. It's not going to last forever. The oil will run out eventually. So why the hell are we not jumping onto this other alternative that's endless, that is infinite, that doesn't waste away? Why? Where is the you know, the energetic, you know, let's go do something great, you know? Where's the energy to create, you know, a whole brand new industry, to invest in it and all that? You know, where the hell are these people anyway? You know, it's like we're all asleep in the fucking rhythm of what is, to miss the train, as it were, to something that could be better. You know, we're too comfortable in our recliners. We don't want to get up and do anything. You know, and that's really what this is about, is that we've become too comfortable with the way things are. And when somebody talks about changing it for something else and we can't understand how that would work, we're like, no. Okay, you think it was easy for people to get rid of their horses and go to automobiles, you know, as a means of transportation? It couldn't have been, you know, because people then like, well, what the hell do we need a horse for? I don't want to get rid of my horse. What about my carriage? I built a carriage for that fucking thing. Now I got to get rid of it? You know, I mean, there had to be some pushback even on that. But with this here, I can't see, you know, something that we already got the industry in place to move ourselves around, vehicles, right? All we're talking about is changing the way we power these things. Okay? That's it. It shouldn't be that hard of a transition. We're going from one automobile to another, going from a gas guzzler to, you know, green energy, whatever you want to call it, batteries, whatever. Doesn't sound like a big thing to me. And the oil industry should be able to move into that easily. They got the money to do it. Christ, all they got to do is just start investing in it. You know, I think there's a couple of oil industries that are doing that, but, you know, there's no big push into it. But you see, you know, Project 2025 wants to open the door here in its country and say, you don't have to do that here. If you want to stay a fossil fuel dominant industry, that's okay with me. Okay? I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to put no regulations on you. You build those gas guzzlers any way you want. And hell, you know, they're going to love that. They're going to love that. You know, it's to hell with our kids' future. Hell with the grandkids. If they'll have to breathe smog, they'll have to wear masks. I watched a fucking movie that was made in Japan about a future where everyone has to wear a gas mask outside because the air is so toxic they can't even breathe it. Okay? That don't mean nothing to the rich that run these oil companies. They don't give a fuck about that. They're not going to be around, a lot of them. You know, pass the buck. That's what we're good for. Pass the buck. You know, it's like during the 80s, people spending like drunken sailors, credit cards and everything, putting unsurmountable debt on their homes and on their lives and on their children's future. They didn't stop for one fucking second until the government came knocking and said foreclosure. You know, All right, okay, so that's it for now, but there'll be more stuff here to disseminate to you about this, and so subscribe, comment, share, and keep your ears open to any health-related matters out there. Especially, you should get in the habit of doing that more now, since the FDA and anything that's protecting us, protecting our lives, is going to be pretty much useless after Trump becomes president. So anyway, treat each other kindly out there, because that will be the last luxury that we'll ever be able to have. When you get rid of that, what makes us human really won't be human anymore. So try to do that more, and I will talk to you again later, so take care.